Starting to rain. So I got a comment on one of our YouTube videos the other day, and anybody who watches YouTube knows that by and large, the comment section is a dumpster fire. And you should just never go in there. But when you have a YouTube channel, you get little notifications when people leave comments on your videos. And I always scroll through them. I try to respond to a bunch of them. And every once in a while, I get sucked into being a little bit of a negative Nancy. And this was one instance where that happened. This poster commented, "Always curious, folks that are homesteading," he put homesteading in quotes, "always seem to buy the least purposeful piece of equipment. The BX is a toy for the same money. Assuming it was purchased new, looks new, it was. You could have had yourself an 1800 to 2000 hour Takeuchi TL8 or a Case or a John Deere skid steer with the horsepower to actually get the job done." Now I read the comment and I got a little upset because this was something we had actually considered when we were looking at buying a tractor. I never really talked about it in our videos because at the time we weren't making YouTube videos, so I didn't necessarily go through and talk about the process of us buying our tractor and what we decided on. I have mentioned in some subsequent videos about if you're looking to buy a tractor, these are things that you should consider. So it hasn't gone completely without mentioning on our channel, but we have a lot of videos and not everybody watches everyone. So I felt the need to comment, but I did take a little bit of issue with the fact that he had put homesteading in quotes, because homesteading is different for everybody. You know, you could be homesteading and live in an apartment in the city, or you could be out on acreage out west with thousands of acres and be homesteading. So there's a huge variant there, and to put homesteading in quotes I thought really just simplified everything. So I was a little bit testy in my reply, and he commented below trying to walk things back a little bit, which was cool. But then he commented again asking if I was going to chime in again after my tirade, and I figured I was just going to ignore it because I wasn't going to engage in that type of behavior in the comment section. And then later on another video, he came back and posted, "I'm not trolling you, but after watching you trying to tackle that sapling, I gotta renege my subscription.
Bye, Felicia.
Buy a skid steer. I have 10 acres too." Bro, that's the exact definition of trolling. So here today, while I do the chicken and duck chores, I'm gonna talk about the reasons why we didn't buy a skid steer for our farm. First reason we didn't buy a skid steer was simply price. He mentions in the post that we could find a 2000 hour Takeuchi TL8, which is a decent unit, for the same amount of money. And in reality, that's not the case. Around here, when we priced out units that we would like to buy, ones that looked like they were decently maintained, 1800, 2000 hour units were going around $35,000. Now, all in on our tractor with the front mount snowblower, the loader, the mower deck, the third function valves, everything that we had put on that thing, we were at like $25,000. So you're talking a $10,000 leap to get up into skid loader territory, or at least decent skid loader territory. And beyond the initial upfront cost, you're also going to be talking about financing options. On new Kubota units, you're able to get 0% financing. On used units, you're looking at 5% over 60 months. For us, as a really small farm where it's not our main income driver, it didn't make sense to make that initial investment and pay that much more in interest for a unit that we really weren't going to need the additional capability very often with. And let's talk a little bit about that additional capability, quote unquote. I'm making air quotes here, but I have a bunch of water in my hand. The additional capability that he talks about is really only there when we're talking about moving things with the bucket and the strength of the machine. You can't mow your lawn with a skid steer. You just can't. Track loader, skid steer, whatever, you're going to tear up your lawn. So that's a no-go right off the bat for us. We wanted something that we could mow our lawn with. We don't have a huge lawn, but we wanted to be able to do double duty there. So belly mower was a must. Track loader doesn't have that. And then we're going to talk about the snow management capabilities of it. Yes, a skid steer or a track loader can move more snow in a single bucket than our Kubota can. We don't use our Kubota's bucket for snow management. We use the snow blower for the Kubota for snow management. And with a track loader or a skid steer, you can find hydraulic front mount snow blowers but they make the $5,000 that we spent on our front mount snowblower for our Kubota look like chump change compared to what you're going to pay for a hydraulic front mount blower. They're just way more expensive. They're way more involved. It's not something that, on top of the cost of a used machine, we wanted to have to front to get a used snowblower for our track loader or a track loader. So at this point now, we're talking more money for less capability in the unit overall. We would have had to buy the track loader, would have had to buy a front mount snowblower for that track loader. We would have had to buy a mower beyond the push mower that we have already. You're starting to get into really high dollar territory with a track loader all of a sudden. And it's important to remember now at this point that it's a used unit. There's no warranty on it. With our Kubota, we have a 6-year, virtually no questions asked. It's like a $250 deductible warranty on the thing. So anything goes wrong with it, that $250 deductible, it's called KTAC insurance. Look into it if you have a Kubota. It's totally worth it for us. It's 6 years of not having to worry about hydraulic fittings going bad, not having to worry about the engine failing us, not having to worry about anything breaking or going off or leaving us high and dry. It's as simple as picking up the phone and calling our dealer if something goes wrong. You're not going to get that with a used machine, and while they are relatively easy to work on, I would rather be spending my time doing other stuff than in the back end of a skid steer or track loader trying to figure something out. And the phrase "figure it out" is a great segue into the last part of why we didn't get a track loader. When we looked into getting a piece of equipment for our Homestead, we knew that it wasn't going to be just me operating the unit. It was going to be Jackie as well. It's a super easy unit to learn and use, and it's relatively intuitive. You could not drive the tractor for 4, 5, 6 months and then hop on it and remember everything, because it's very close to what she was used to growing up on a regular lawn tractor around her parents' place. You pop somebody into a skid steer or a track loader that doesn't have a construction background, and it's not a very intuitive practice. Am I confident that Jackie could learn it and operate it no problem? Of course. I mean, she's smarter than me in many regards. But put her in the situation where I'm 5 hours away for work and we get snowfall at home and she has to hop into a track loader or a skid steer and remember how to use a hydraulic snowblower that she hasn't used, you know, in almost a year since possibly the last snowfall. That's not something we wanted to do. Is a track loader or a heavier duty piece of equipment in our future? I would say definitely yes. Jackie and I have had some pretty frank discussions about whether or not we want a bigger tractor than what we've got. We have run into a few instances where, you know, the Kubota has not been enough, and I have talked about those in videos on the channel before. Despite what you see me talking about on the channel, we do put a lot of thought into the things we do on our Homestead, and maybe I should talk more about that thought process sometimes, because it does look like we just bought a tiny tractor and that was it. But the background was, there was a lot of discussion. Do we want a small tractor? Do we want a big tractor? Do we want to look at getting multiple implements like a skid steer or a Mini X or things like that? You know, I worked in the tree care industry for years, and I saw this stuff being put to use every day. I've been to trade shows where you could see all this stuff. I've talked to Bobcat dealers, I've talked to Ditch Witch dealers, I've talked to all these guys in the industry. So when we went looking to buy a tractor, we had looked at all the different options out there. It wasn't like I just picked a tractor and said, hey, trendy orange little tractor, I'm going to go for it. So maybe to the commenter, this is going to help them and figure out a little bit more of what the thought process was behind our purchase. You know, to pull a line from one of my favorite movies.
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
And that's just kind of how I feel about this. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like our videos, make sure to click that subscribe button down below. As always, have a great day. Bye.